Yep. Inside, I want to kill myself. We are on an 0-7 run over the last 2 days. After tonight was just complete bullshit. So that's how I'm going to start off this show. Horrible Sunday, 1-5. I don't even know what to tell you about that. I just don't want to do this anymore. I have never seen anything like this, man. With the slump continuing, 2 straight losses, not a good day at all. 0-4. I just have not had a good season, man. What can this slump that I'm on? The slump continues. I've reached a new peak, actually. I'm gonna burn my Bruins hat, man. I don't know what is going on with the Bruins. March 8th, is that what it is? I don't even know. It's March 9th, I think. Who even knows, man? I don't know what day it is anymore. I don't even know what day it is anymore, man. Back with you after the worst day that I could possibly have. Back with you, as I always am. Until I die, at least. 0-2 yesterday, and yesterday did not go well for me. 0-5. The worst month that I've ever had in my 18 years doing this. I don't know what to even tell you about this anymore. What the slump yesterday is. The slump discontinues. The slump continues. Somebody fucking kill me, please. I don't even know what I should do at this point other than potentially end it all. What's up, everybody? It's Toad back with you. This is Better Off Dead NFL Week 7 edition. We'll talk about what happened today, tomorrow morning. I'm pissed. I don't really feel like getting into it right now. It was a winning day, but I'm fucking pissed about multiple of these fucking games. I'm pissed about the extra picks that I threw into my pick 6, pick 7 in college football. I'm still alive in Survivor, so there is that in college. I'll probably not be alive in NFL anymore or in real life after this. My camera won't fucking focus. Like, what the fuck is going on here, man? Fucking focus. Focus on my ugly face, you bitch. All right, let's fucking go. Impure Hunter, what's up, man? Good to see you. Thanks for reposting, man. I'm on YouTube as well. You can watch me on YouTube, too. This is going to be the NFL show. But yes, we did have a 4-3 day on the show today. My extra throw in at the end, just because it was no Kings Day. I'm like, fuck you. You don't tell me what to do. We're going to fucking have a play on the Kings. And then they fucking erase a 3-0 deficit, tie it at 3-3, get our hopes up, send it into overtime. So it's like, okay, we have actually the right side here as an underdog here. And no, they just lose like a minute and a half into overtime. Fuck you. Fuck all that. So I would have been 2-0 in hockey, but instead I go 2-1 because I couldn't help myself. Whatever. 2-2 in college football. As college football hasn't been great over the last couple of weeks. We're just kind of breaking even-ish. Although we went 3-2 this week, actually, because I had the winner last night in Louisville. So I guess there was that at least. Yeah, we have that in our back pocket at least. Let's talk about this NFL slate, man. I'm going to have 3 NFL plays. I had difficulty even getting it to 3, to be honest. Like, I have one play that I really like a lot. The other 2 are maybe a little bit less so, but I'm going to do it anyway. We're going to have 3 plays. I think they're all solid-ish. Enough for plays, I guess. Maybe I'm just not restraining myself. I got to break my own arm. Like, stop betting these games. What the fuck are you doing, man? Yeah, and they're all going to be in the Sunday slate. I'm not going to do anything with the 2 Monday night games, but obviously I'll talk about them, and then I'll talk about them again Monday morning. We're going to do the final market read tomorrow on the show. Tomorrow, very small board on Sunday tomorrow, so we'll talk about a few hockey games or whatever the hell's going on tomorrow. Baseball, I think, is maybe back in action with the ALCS, I assume, is probably going on. So that's what we'll talk about tomorrow, and I'll rant about the college football horse shit that happened. Fuck you, Syracuse, is what I have to say about that. And I think probably the other game that I had a bullshit loser too. I don't even remember. It might have been. I don't even remember what it was. I don't even want to remember. Fuck it. Let's talk about the NFL here, man. And I did bring up the look-ahead lines again this time, where you have this overly plasticized woman here, whoever the hell this woman is, Melanie Collins, talking to us about football. You think I'm going to listen to a woman, especially one who looks like that, about football? Hell no, I'm not going to do that. First game up is Rams-Jaguars. We have to call them the Jaguars because this is in London, and the Jaguars are the London team here. Rams are a 3-point favorite. They're up to 3 with juice. It looks like the ticket percentage is on Jacksonville, or Londonville, which I don't really understand. 54% of tickets on them, 55% of the cash coming out on the Rams. I'm going to have a slight disagreement with that. I don't like the Rams in this spot. I actually lean to the Jaguars here. The look-ahead line was 3.5, but I don't think that makes much of a difference. The Rams are going to be without Puka Nacua, which shouldn't really affect the line that much, although, of course, he is their best wide receiver, so it will affect the gameplay a little bit here. But looking at the spot, I just think that the spot is probably a little bit better for the Jaguars here. LA, they're coming off a win over the Ravens. Say what you will. Yeah, I know it's the Ravens without Lamar Jackson. The Ravens just totally sliding right now, just an injury-plagued Baltimore team, but it's still the Baltimore Ravens. It's still a pretty good win for LA on the road there. Now they got to travel to London, so it's a second straight game away from home here. A lot of travel. They had to travel from West Coast to East Coast, and now they have to go across the Atlantic Ocean. I don't love the spot for the Rams here, man. I think the other thing about this is the Jags are more used to this travel spot because the Jags are the de facto London team. So they play here every year, and sometimes they play 2 weeks in a row in London. So they're used to this. They know it, although I know they haven't done it under their new coach, Liam Cohen. But a lot of their players are still there that have done this. So the Jaguars are much more used to this. And what did the Jaguars do? They flew out on Monday. So immediately after they lost their game on Sunday, just pack their bags, they go. So I think that's actually a positive because it seems to me like if you determine like when the teams get over there to London, the teams that get there earlier, they adjust to the time zone and they have like many days. They get like an entire week to be adjusting to that time zone. And then by the time Sunday comes around, they're actually adjusted to it. Those teams tend to play a lot better than the teams that go over there late. Hint, hint, that would be the Rams here because the Rams actually did not fly out until Friday. So Jacksonville was in London already, I think by Monday night. And the Rams, who are not used to doing this, are like, nah, let's just go over there on Friday. So I think that's another edge to Jacksonville here. So I think the travel edge with Jacksonville, with the familiarity of it, the fact they're going to be more adjusted to the time zone at this point, it's an advantage to Jacksonville. I know the better coach is on the side of the Rams with McVay. I just don't care. I think the better spot, the better setup here is for Jacksonville for all those reasons. And Jacksonville did just lose last week. I know sometimes when you lose a win streak, losing a game will hang you over a little bit, but Jacksonville was in a bad spot last week, man. I talked about that. They were on a short week. They had that big win on Monday night, which was one of my plays on the show against the Kansas City Chiefs. It looked like we were going to lose that game right near the end. It looked like they were going to fail to cover by a half point right near the end. And Trevor Lawrence did his version of stumble bum, if you want to call it that, the Ben Johnson offensive play that he was running with the Detroit Lions, except it was not planned. And Lawrence actually fell down, wasn't touched, got up, got into the end zone. One of the craziest winning touchdowns you'll ever see. Coming off that huge win, Jacksonville was not in a good spot. They were in a letdown spot. They lost to this Seattle team that's really surprising everyone, man. I don't know if I may have to reassess Sam Darnold here, who I've always said was a bust. Maybe you put him in a good system. Maybe he's better. It seems that way, although he still caved under the pressure of the big game last year. We will see if that remains the case. But we're not talking about Seattle yet here. We're talking about the Jags. They had an awful offensive performance in that game. Lost 20-12. I think it's going to be good for them after that game to just get the fuck out of there, which is what they did right away. And I think maybe they were even looking ahead to the London game a little bit, man. I think maybe it was a little bit of a sandwich spot. So not just a letdown spot, but looking ahead to having to go to London here, which is, it's at least kind of it's one of those isolated games that gets like national TV attention. For the people that are actually up at 9:30 in the morning Eastern time or 6:30 in the morning Pacific time. So good luck for other Rams fans there who want to watch this shitty game in Pacific Coast time. Isn't that great? I'm going to lean to Jacksonville in that one, though, plus the points. This week, I don't like the board very much, man. I'm just telling you right now, there are some games that I've really struggled because I give out an opinion on the side on every game here, which hopefully can help people with their pick'em pools. I'm doing really well in my pick'em pool, just picking every single game. I should just bet every single game, and I'd be winning, man. It's doing better than my actual plays and way better than my pick 5 entry, which is ridiculous, where I have those additional like cuts, like those last cuts that don't make my actual plays. Because I think my plays are actually winning, but those last cuts, they've been bad. I don't get it. And then my overall plays, my overall picks are just winning. So I don't know, man. But this week I've struggled. I'll just tell you that now. You're going to know what my strongest opinions are, though, because I'll tell you, there are certain games where even if I'm not going to give it out as a play, it's pretty unlikely I'm going to change my opinion on a couple of these other games. So I will point those out if I can. But, I might second guess myself here going through this, but we will see. Blonde Laura Loomer, yeah, that I don't know who that woman is, Melanie Collins, but she's probably a Zionist as well, just like Laura Loomer. All right, we get into the actual Sunday slate, 1 p.m. I'm gonna go based on the board again. I went based on the schedule last week. I'm gonna do it based on the betting order here. Raiders Chiefs at 1 p.m. Chiefs up from 10.5 to 12, so the Chiefs getting the respect from the market again, or maybe the Raiders getting disrespect here. But the Chiefs all of a sudden look like their offense is starting to click here. Is it? I'm not really entirely sure about that. I mean, Mahomes has been really good, which is good for me because I have him on my fantasy team in my main league. He got Xavier Worthy back, and then Rashee Rice is coming back this week. I don't know how involved Rice is going to be. Rice was suspended for the first 6 games or whatever because he drove drunk at over 100 miles an hour and caused a 6-car pileup. And the only reason he's probably not in jail is, well, 1, because he's in the NFL, but 2, because he didn't kill anybody. So I think that's probably the reason why. He's on my fantasy team, by the way. I love those fantasy players that cause 6-car pileups by driving drunk. You know, basically at the speed of light. It's fucking awesome, man. That's what I do. Charles, what's up, man? Thanks for hanging out. But yeah, the Chiefs, I mean, their offense has been better recently. I don't know if Rice is going to be like totally up to speed, although he's been allowed to practice since I think week 3 or 4. That's just what the rule is. So he's not like coming in totally cold. And I mean, he's been in this system for a while, so it probably won't take him that long to ramp up. I just don't know how much they're going to use him in this game. 73% of tickets, 77% of the cash on the Chiefs. It seems like a large spread to be laying, man. Totals right kind of in the like mid level of totals here, 45, 45 and a half, whatever. Not a high total, not a low total. But the Chiefs, they don't cover my margin that often, man. I mean, last year they really didn't. They had a lot of one-score wins. So you're asking a lot of the Chiefs to win by margin like this. It's just not something that they tend to do that often. And against the Raiders, they actually really struggled to do so too. They've had a lot of really close calls against the Raiders recently. And I think the Raiders have beaten them a couple of times recently too. So the Raiders, no matter how bad they are, they seem to just step it up against the Chiefs every time they play them. And the Chiefs are coming off a really big win on Monday night. That was a statement win, bouncing back from that, or Sunday night, excuse me, a statement win after losing on Monday night to the Jaguars. Sunday night, they beat the Detroit Lions 30-17. Chiefs got some benefit of some calls in that game. I did lean to the Chiefs in that game. I think they probably would have won the game anyway, but they did get a lot of calls that went their way in that game too. But that's a big win over Detroit, man. And then there was like a scrum at the end of the game where I don't remember who the player was, but I don't even remember exactly what. I think Mahomes went to shake somebody's hand on Detroit, and whoever the Detroit player was refused to do so. And then Juju Smith-Schuster took issue with that and was like, what the fuck, man? Why are you not shaking his hand? And then the dude punched Smith-Schuster, and then Smith-Schuster kind of went back at him, and then it was like this pile up happened. It was insane, man. That's what happened at the end of the game. However you want to look at it, it was a big win on primetime, emotional game, and now the Chiefs come off of that and they play this awful Raiders team that's in last place in their division yet again. And then they do have somewhat of a bigger game up next against Washington, which is going to be at least with Jaden Daniels back. And by the way, that's another primetime game. I think that's another Monday night game. So the Chiefs, look at what the Chiefs have done so far, man. They played in Brazil against the Chargers. Huge divisional game. Out of country game that was an isolated game that everybody watched on, I think, a Friday night or something. Then they played the Super Bowl rematch against the Philadelphia Eagles. Then they had a Sunday night game against the Giants. I know the Giants suck, but it's still a primetime game. Then they had a huge game over Baltimore, which was still against Baltimore. They beat Baltimore, which was still Baltimore with Lamar Jackson until he got hurt in that game. Then they played a Monday night game against Jacksonville. And then they played a Sunday night game against Detroit. So there's like no let up in the schedule, man. And this is like the let up spot here. So I don't think it's a great spot for Kansas City. I mean, I was looking at the market and seeing the money kind of coming in on Kansas City, and it seemed like the public sentiment was kind of maybe thinking that the line may be a little bit too big with the Chiefs at this point, but I'm second guessing that just based on the spot. I would not lay the points with the Chiefs here. And then again, they have that primetime game up after that against Washington. Then they face Buffalo, Denver, the Colts, Dallas. I mean, every one of these games is bigger than this Raiders one. I mean, this is the flat spot in the Kansas City schedule here. And say what you will about the Raiders, but they're probably going to show up for this game at least. And the Raiders finally got a win after not having one since week 1. They were able to win. I know it was against the Tennessee Titans. They suck. They're probably the worst team in football, but at least that gives the Raiders a little bit of confidence and some, I think, momentum coming into this one. So I'm going to lean to taking the points with the Raiders in this game. Not gonna be a play from me. We'll just put it that way. But yeah, I'll slightly lean to the Raiders in that one, but it's definitely not a strong opinion. Roid Rage. It wasn't like one of the big dudes though. It was like I forget who it was actually on Detroit. You'd have to go look it up. It wasn't like one of their like linemen or anything like that. I don't think it was like the super jack dude. Nate, what's up, man? Thanks for hanging out. Yeah, DeJasper, Toad, and Crux. You've still not figured out my Italian last name, which is not my actual last name, but the Italian name that got carried through on my mom's side. All right, this is still taking too long. I've only talked about 2 fucking games. Damn. Dolphins Browns. How about this game? This is a great game. Also at 1 p.m. Eastern. The total's down from 41 to 35.5. Sounds like it's going to be an amazing game here. Dolphins, I mean, their offense is just struggling. They lost Tyreek Hill. Tua doesn't look good anymore. This Dolphins offense is just shit. Sounds like maybe Achane wants out of there. Mike McDaniel probably going to get fired. Bad times for the Dolphins. Cleveland, at the very least, you could say Cleveland has a pretty solid defense. They got rid of Joe Flacco, and all of a sudden Joe Flacco looks pretty good with the Cincinnati Bengals. I mean, he's got a decent amount of talent on that Cincinnati offense around him, which the Browns don't have. But the Browns, they're struggling offensively, so that's why this total is this low, and the money has come in on the under. Although if you want the under at this point, I don't think you could really do it. I mean, if you got 41, good for you, because that was a key number, and you got the best of it. But at this point, I don't think you can play the under, but the money has come in that way. Browns are a 2.5-point favorite. Browns, when are they ever a favorite, man? And they're going up towards 3 here on the line. 55% of tickets, 73% of the cash on the Browns. The money's coming in on the Browns. Oh, and by the way, let's talk. I forgot to talk about the look-ahead line. The Chiefs were 10.5, by the way, in the look-ahead. So the fact, which you can see here, too, I think the look-ahead is kind of the opener in a lot of these cases here. But the fact they're up to 12 means that move was basically just based off of last week's results, too. So you're getting a little bit extra value with the Raiders based on that. The look-ahead line is what the line was before last week's games were played. So you can kind of gauge like what the overreaction was this week. So that line moved. The Browns line was the same, 2.5. But I actually leaned to the Browns in this one. They got 73% of the cash. The Browns are actually getting the money here. And I lean that way basically because the Browns have a big defensive edge in this game. They clearly have the better defense here. Miami's coming off a tough game too, man. Miami played really well, actually, against the Chargers. Or they played well enough that they had the lead late in that game. And then they had like a heartbreaking loss right at the end. They scored with 46 seconds left. They're actually down by 13 in the fourth quarter, and they scored twice in the final 8 minutes, including with 46 seconds left to take the lead over the Chargers, and then they still lost the game on a field goal right at the end by Dicker, the kicker. Miami got dicked in that game, and they wound up losing the game. Just absolutely brutal. They could have had a decent statement win. Miami did also have 3 turnovers in the game. They got outgained in the game, so it should have been kind of an easier win-ish for the Chargers, although I liked Miami to cover that spread in that one. They did. That was one of my leans. Didn't give it out as a play, but the fact that Miami's coming off that brutal loss, now they have to go on the road up to Cleveland. Miami, by the way, they haven't been good on the road. They lost 33-8 to Indianapolis, 31-21 to Buffalo on Thursday night, lost to Carolina on the road. They're 0-3 on the road, lost by only 3 to Carolina, but still not good. Now they're going up to Cleveland, and we're starting to get into fall weather, man. So this is maybe going to be a little bit cooler. Well, it's going to be rainy at least. I guess it's going to be 65, which kind of surprises me because it's been like 40s and 50s up here in Boston recently. But still, 65, rain. Not the greatest of weather, I don't think, for this Miami team. Cleveland, on the other hand, they're coming off getting trounced by Pittsburgh. And I know I liked Cleveland last week. It was one of my plays, even though they were coming back from London. I just thought that Pittsburgh had that big look-ahead spot to Cincinnati coming up. Didn't like the spot for Pittsburgh. Didn't like the fact they went into their bye on a really good note. But didn't happen for us. Cleveland's offense is just terrible. Dillon Gabriel, terrible. But I think they could do something against this Miami defense, man. I mean, they're stepping down in class here. Minnesota's defense that they faced a couple weeks ago is much better than Miami's. It's not even close. Pittsburgh's defense hasn't been great, but they're still better than Miami's. So Cleveland may actually be able to just do just enough to get this win here. And the fact they're coming off a blowout loss, I think they're going to maybe fix some things during the week, and maybe they look a little bit worse than maybe they really are right now. I know they got to get Dillon Gabriel up to speed, and maybe he won't even actually be that good, but Miami's offense doesn't look that good either. So I think it's going to be an ugly, low-scoring game. It'll be a defensive game, which I think does actually favor Cleveland. That's the way that I would look. Dolphins coming off that brutal loss. So, yeah, I think that's the way to go. It's Mussolini. Yes, you're correct, actually, which plays into my fascism. Todesini, that's close as well. Bonaparte, that's Bonaparte. Bonaparte, that's not Italian. He's the dick kicker, yeah. The Bees will not play well in the cold rain. Who the fuck are the Bees? The Cleveland Browns, the other. I don't know what we're talking about right now. You don't think the Browns will play well in the rain? I don't know what we're alluding to there. Next up, New England at Tennessee, Patriots at Titans. Patriots are a very public side now. They're laying 7 on the road. The look ahead on this was where are we at? Was 6. So the Patriots, the line's gone up a little bit. I mean, 7 is a key number here, and it's 7 even money right now on the Patriots. You'll probably be able to get the full 7 at -110 on the Titans if you really want to do it. I would lean that way. I do lean to the Titans here, but I do have some reservations about it, which, of course, some of it is that the Titans suck, but, of course, that's being built into the line. Patriots, I think, are getting a little bit too much respect. Basically, since they beat Buffalo, I think they're getting a little bit too much respect. 84% of tickets, 79% of the cash. Public all over the Patriots now, but some of it is that the Patriots have looked good with Drake May over the last few games. Some of it is that the Titans are just probably the worst team in football. So all of that has to do with why the public is on the New England side. I think it's too many points, though. New England, I mean, of course I went against them last week. I loved New Orleans last week, and New Orleans didn't get it done for us. They played competitively still and only lost by 6. I thought it was a major letdown spot for New England. After New England, they basically looked too good against Carolina, which was a win for us on the show. I had New England in that game against Carolina on the show, and they blew them out, but the score was a bit misleading. Carolina, I think, had some turnovers in the game. It wasn't a huge yardage edge for New England in that one. And then New England had that huge win over Buffalo, of course, on the road in primetime. Everybody saw it. But really, that's the Patriots' only good win. I mean, who else did they beat? They beat Miami, New Orleans, and Carolina. I mean, those are not impressive wins otherwise. Those are some of the worst teams in football, though I know Carolina's decent-ish, I guess, at 3-3, but those are still not very impressive wins. And they caught Carolina in a bad spot off of that blowout of Atlanta, which was also one of my wins on the show. So I'll toot my own horn when I can, but I'll admit my losses too. New England did deserve to win against Pittsburgh, though. They had a huge turnover disadvantage in that game that cost them that game. They should have won against Pittsburgh. So, I mean, that is at least one indicator that New England actually did have a good game against a decent team in Pittsburgh. But still, I think at some point there's got to be a letdown. I thought that it was going to be last week. It wasn't really. Now they're playing a third road game in 3 weeks. That's not a good spot either. That's kind of rare in the NFL to have to play 3 road games over the course of 3 straight weeks. I don't think that's great. Vrabel will get up for it, though, because, of course, he got fired by Tennessee, even though he was a good coach for Tennessee. And Tennessee has been awful since his firing. So Vrabel might be a little bit pissed. So, yeah, he's probably going to be a little bit motivated. So if the Patriots do happen to have the lead, he's probably not going to take his foot off the gas. So that's kind of the one issue I might have with Tennessee here. Other than that, I wouldn't lean that way. I still do lean that way to Tennessee. It's just certainly it's not going to be a play for me. Tennessee coming off another embarrassing loss, just an ugly loss to the Raiders, which, by the way, that was their 3rd road game in a row. Oh, they had to go to Houston, Arizona, and then Vegas, just going out west there. So it wasn't the greatest spot. I didn't like Tennessee in that spot after they got that ridiculous upset win, bullshit win, basically, over Arizona. Although my lean was correct in that one, and my lean was correct in the Vegas one too. But coming back home, I do think Tennessee will at least come out and show something in this game. I mean, they will probably be motivated to try to beat Vrabel as well, to try to prove that, hey, this was the right move to try to beat this is the right move to get rid of Vrabel, although I think clearly it was not. But I think Tennessee will at least somewhat be motivated to try to beat him. So I think that motivation does go both ways. It's a pretty ugly game. It's an ugly lean, but I would take the points with Tennessee if I was going to play it. Oh, brown skin. Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know about that, man, because India has a lot of monsoons, man. So I don't know. Saints Bears is going to be one of my plays that barely made the cut for me. It was my last addition to my card. I'll leave that for the end for the best bets. Eagles, Vikings. This is a very difficult game for me to figure out. The Eagles look like they're still public. 71% of tickets, only 70% of the cash on them. Down from a 2.5-point favorite to a 1.5-point favorite. So the odds makers are respecting the Eagles enough that they're favoring them on the road. Part of it is because the Vikings have quarterback issues. I don't even think we know who their quarterback is going to be here. Wentz has been filling in for J.J. McCarthy. I believe the Vikings are coming out of a bye, if I'm not mistaken. Which, by the way, the 2 byes this week are Buffalo and Baltimore, just so you know. Minnesota and Houston, I believe, had byes last week. So, yeah, Minnesota is coming out of a bye. They went into the bye with a win in London. They actually played in Dublin and in London. So this is they haven't played in the U.S. since September 21st, which is ridiculous. But it might be a little bit of a better spot for Minnesota for that reason, man. I'm not going to say they went into the bye on a good note necessarily, because when you go into the bye on a good note, I think that bye disrupts your momentum and it's bad. But I think this bye is actually helpful to them, even though they won their last game in London against Cleveland. They had the advantage there because they were only going from Dublin to London going into that game, and the Vikings played in London last year too, and they had the better coach in Kevin O'Connell, which, by the way, I forgot to mention Cleveland. Did Cleveland fire their coach, or did they not? Like, I thought I saw something, somebody tweeted out that they fired Stefanski or whatever his name is. Maybe they didn't do that. I don't know. Somebody can let me know if they actually did. But if they did, that would be a fired coach spot, where when the team fires their coach, I do like to look towards that team. But I already do lean to Cleveland. If it was a fired coach spot, would I give it out as a play? No, probably not. But I'm just kind of interested in knowing that, just because that would be a little bit of a stronger play on Cleveland if they did, because the team usually gets a little bit of a spark when they fire their coach. But anyway, back to Minnesota. I think the bye will help them returning back home. It was kind of an ugly game against Cleveland, man. So they didn't exactly go into the bye on a great note. They got an extra week to prepare for the Super Bowl champ Philadelphia. I almost said the Philadelphia Phillies, the Philadelphia Eagles, for Philly. Let's call them Philly. So Minnesota, you know they're going to get up for this game at the very least. Philadelphia, of course, they did not have a bye last week. They took a loss, though, and they do have some time off because they played on Thursday. So they have a kind of a mini bye, I guess if you want to call it that, and they didn't play well either. So they do have some extra time off to prepare for this, too. So I think that extra time off is somewhat helpful for Philadelphia, because that was kind of an ugly loss where they were a favorite against the New York Giants. Jackson Dart, or really Scatterboo looked really good in that game for the Giants. I leaned to the Giants in that one. We had that one right on the show as a lean with my Thursday night dominance continuing, which, by the way, I did wind up picking Cincinnati. I was going back and forth on that game, man. So I know I was leaning to Pittsburgh that morning, but the final market read, I went with Cincinnati. So I got yet another Thursday night game right. I'm 7-0 on the Thursday night spreads, which is ridiculous. But anyway, Philadelphia, ugly loss. They had 2 losses in a row as favorites to Denver and the Giants. Now they do have extra time off here, so that is going to be helpful to them too. So I think both teams are going to kind of show up for this game focused. It's just that, I mean, it looks like the anti-public read here would be to play the Vikings and fade the Eagles here. Man, I mean, it's difficult. I mean, I think it's a decent spot for the Eagles to bounce back from that ugly loss, though. But the Eagles really, they've not been anywhere near as good as last year, man. Their offense has been struggling. I mean, it looks like their wide receivers are just kind of, I don't know. There's something kind of wrong with A.J. Brown, it looks like to me. Hurts hasn't been very good. Barkley has been way down this year. Don't know what's going on with that Eagles offense, and they lost a lot of their defensive personnel from last year, too. All of that's kind of a problem. So, yeah, this game is really difficult for me to read. I mean, if we, just kind of default to going with the market read because there's no real, situation to really latch onto in this game, you would have to, I guess, take the Vikings plus the points. But, I mean, my initial kind of thought on this was that I actually kind of leaned to Philly, though. That was kind of my initial reaction on this game. Maybe I don't still lean that way. It's going to be difficult. We got to figure out who the hell Minnesota, who's Minnesota starting at quarterback? Do we know? Let me see. J.J. McCarthy is questionable, so I think we don't really know yet. I think if McCarthy is back, I would say you got to lean to the Eagles if McCarthy comes back because I think he's actually worse than Wentz, and it'll become that kind of reverse injured player spot where when your injured quarterback comes back, there's kind of a chemistry shift. The team has to get used to him being back in there. Sometimes the team almost takes their foot off the gas a little bit, thinking, hey, we don't need to play as hard with our starter back in here, even though maybe they think that they need to play hard because McCarthy hasn't been good. But if McCarthy's in there, I would almost switch my opinion to the Eagles, man. I think if Wentz stays in there, maybe Minnesota makes more sense. Wentz is just a more experienced guy, man. I think he's probably better than McCarthy right now. So very, very difficult game to figure that out. The ugly plays, well, I'm going to give out some ugly plays too, at least one. But the ugliest games here these are not on my card. These are just my leans. But I'm going to make these picks in my overall pick 'em where I have to pick every single game. A barely pun, yes. The Vikings, I don't know, do they still have that male trans cheerleader, whoever the hell that Blaze, whoever the hell that person is? I don't know, man. The Vikings, yeah, I mean, they're a pretty gay organization, though, generally. I mean, they're called the Purple People Eaters, or they used to be, so what do you expect? And they've never won a Super Bowl. Look ahead on that game, by the way, was Eagles -3, so it's a little bit shifted towards the Vikings now, so almost there's maybe even a little bit of value on the Eagles at this point, but it's possible that the line moved a little bit because of the quarterback uncertainty. And maybe would the line actually move towards the Vikings if it was McCarthy coming back? Would it really? I don't know, man. To me, I think the odds makers actually realize that Wentz is better, but maybe I'm wrong about that. Next up is Panthers-Jets. I disagree with the market in this one. The Panthers flipped from +2.5 to -1, I should say. So they went from a 2.5 dog to a 1-point favorite here. So the look ahead was probably the 2.5 dog. Let me see. Yeah, the Jets were -2.5 on the look ahead. But that was the look ahead. So the opener might not have been actually where the line opened this week because it was 2.5 before last week. So it might have actually moved. It might have actually moved towards the Panthers based on the results last week, which is what I think happened because the Panthers had a big win last week and the Jets continued to be ass. So I could see that being the case. And I think with the look ahead being Jets 2.5 and then the line moved based on what happened last week. As far as the market percentages, though, we do see 59% of the cash on Carolina with 52% of the tickets on the Jets. There's no way that I buy that, though. Do you really think the 0-6 Jets are a public-ish side against a 3-3 Carolina team that just beat the Dallas Cowboys? I don't think so. I think Carolina's got to be the public team here. I mean, the public is only going to think that the Panthers are going to win this game. There's no way they're going to play this Jets team. The one drawback for the Jets is they're returning from London. And I know I still went with the Browns last week on the return from London. And one of my plays this week is going to be on a team returning from London. So I guess I should just, I don't know. I guess I should go to hell for that. Maybe I should lose all these bets that I'm giving out on those. But I still like the play that I'm going to give out that's on that team. I like it a lot. It's my favorite play of the week. For the Jets, I mean, they're a bad team that's returning home from London, though. And they played well. The Jets were one of my plays last week. It was the only London play I've given out this year, and they covered pretty easily against Denver, despite the fact that Justin Fields had -10 passing yards in the game, which that included sacks. It wasn't all backwards throws, but I think he had I think his actual completions were like 40 yards worth or something, but he got sacked so many times. I think he got sacked maybe like 7 times. That led to a -10 passing yardage total. Absolutely ridiculous. But the Jets, they played Denver tough, man, and that's a physical opponent, Denver. So it's not the easiest spot for the Jets, for sure. They're coming back from London after facing a punishing defense and actually coming close in a game where they were 7.5-point underdogs. So, yeah, I don't love the Jets in the spot. I mean, that could be maybe the reason why the market is coming in on the Carolina side. But for Carolina, they're 0-3 on the road. They lost at Jacksonville, at Arizona, and at New England. Jacksonville and New England playing pretty well, though. Arizona, not. But Carolina, they haven't been good on the road. Their only wins are against Miami, who is ass. Atlanta in a very bad spot for Atlanta, which is why I gave out Carolina in that game. And it was a misleading final result, too. Atlanta outgained Carolina in that game, which you wouldn't know it by the fact that Atlanta lost 30-0. But Atlanta had a bunch of turnovers in the game. Carolina got really helped out in that game. And then Carolina had maybe their only kind of legitimate win last week against Dallas. With Rico Dowdle, he's on my fantasy team. He's been really good against these bad defenses in Miami and Dallas. Are the Jets a bad defense? I don't know. I mean, they shouldn't be. I mean, they've been a really good defense over the last few years. Aaron Glenn in there doesn't seem to be a very good coach, though. So I don't know. The Jets haven't been excellent defensively this year, but they got to be better defensively than Miami and Dallas, though. You would have to think. So Carolina, they're having to go on the road where they haven't been good. They just beat Dallas, which was really a statement win. And last time they had a statement win against Atlanta, they went on the road and they got blasted by New England. And that was, of course, a game that I gave out on New England. Like I said, it was a terrible spot for Carolina. This time, I'm a little bit hesitant to want to fade Carolina off of that win over Dallas, but I do still kind of lean that way. I don't buy that the public is actually playing the Jets here. And Carolina does face the Bills next, which is a somewhat bigger opponent too, and then Green Bay after that. So I'm going to slightly lean to the Jets. I mean, this one, I'm kind of hesitating on it, to be honest, because the Jets don't seem like they're in a very good spot either to me. This total is just, man, it's ugly. Down from 45 to 41. 60% of tickets on the over, only 52% of the cash on the over. Money coming in strongly on the under here. Thinking it's going to be an ugly game. But I think if it's an ugly, low-scoring game, I actually think that helps the Jets because the Panthers are a bad defense. They're more of an offensive team. So I think if it's a lower-scoring, ugly game, I think that plays into the style that the Jets want to play. So it's just absolute. I mean, it's an ugly game for sure. Blade. Is it Blade or Blaze? I don't even remember. Oh, Blade being foreshadowing. Oh, man, that is a good one. I think his name is actually Blaze, but maybe that's also foreshadowing. If they use fire to accomplish their goals. You don't watch the Vikings games? Are you a Vikings fan, Charles? I don't even know. I don't know who your team is. Next up, we have, we're in the 4 p.m. slate now. Wait, did I skip anything? What did I do? I feel like, I don't know. I felt like I skipped something, but maybe I didn't. We got my Indianapolis Colts against the LA Chargers. Man, Colts, I think, are overperforming a bit, man. The Chargers are up from a 1.5 to a 2-point favorite. Public taking the Colts. They're kind of a public underdog here. 59% of tickets, only 56% of the cash on the Colts. And you know I warn you about public underdogs. When the public likes a team that's not even favored. You want to look to that team that's the favorite. You're not having to lay too much on the Chargers here. I'm going to lean to the Chargers in this game. This one, I don't think I'm going to change my opinion on this one. Chargers opened, the look ahead, was 1.5, so it's basically, it hasn't really moved based on what happened last week. I just think the Chargers, after not playing that well the last few weeks, are under the radar. They lost to the Giants. That was a horrible spot, though. I gave out the Giants as a play in that game, and Jackson Dart's first start. Jackson's start. Dart's start. Fart. Did you see the Jackson fart sign, by the way? Some Ole Miss, I think a Georgia fan, against Ole Miss, a Georgia fan had a Jackson fart sign. I'm like, dude, you realize he's in the NFL now, right? He's not the quarterback for Ole Miss anymore. I don't know, but it was on College Game Day. I think it was it must have been the Georgia Ole Miss game. I tweeted it out. But yeah, the Chargers, after they started the season beating the Chiefs in Brazil, huge win, beating the Raiders on Monday night, and then beating Denver, huge divisional game there too. 3 straight divisional games. It was a horrible spot for them, having to go to the East Coast, face a Dart offense that they had no game film on. So I liked the Giants in that one. We got that win, even though the Chargers made some turnovers there too. Thought the Chargers were going to maybe bounce back in their return home, and they were looking to do so. They were about to go up 17-0 in that game against Washington, and they turned it over deep in Washington territory and then never scored again and lost the game. Just pretty bad loss, really. Just kind of brutal. I thought they had a much better shot to win that game. So the public kind of off of them a little bit, although the public was on them last week because they were playing Miami, and Miami sucks. And, of course, the Chargers had to go back to the East Coast where they struggled. I thought Miami would cover that and had a decent shot to win outright, which was the case. Miami almost caught them. Chargers got the win, but when you're the better team like the Chargers and you're coming off a game where it was an escape, basically, against a bad team, I think you're going to use that week to focus, man. I think they might have been even looking ahead to the Colts because the Colts have been playing well this year. So bad spot for the Chargers. They almost got caught. I think they're going to show up with a lot of focus this week. And by the way, they're playing with this new Charger Power yellow alternate uniform. You like that shit? I kind of like it. And this isn't a joke. I think that when a team is playing with a uniform that looks good, I think they play better. I'm not joking. Like, it's like when you dress, like, really nice in, like, a suit. Like, I feel like shit based on how I dress, obviously. So my plays I give on... This is going to be a horrible episode of Better Off Dead, just like all of them, because I'm always dressed like shit. These are going to be horrible plays. You know what I mean? But I'm serious, though. When a team has a really nice-looking uniform, they get, like, more, like, swagger, more confidence. They play a little bit better, so... I'm serious that I think that is a little bit of, it's a small factor. I'm not going to like weigh that heavily, but I think it is a small factor for the Chargers here. And it looks like the Lions are wearing their all black, by the way. So that's going to be, I actually like the Lions black uniforms. A lot of people don't like them. It's a black helmet with the blue lion. Or no, I think it's a blue helmet with a black lion, and the rest of the uniform is all black. I actually think it's cool looking, so I don't know. Maybe I'm in the minority on that one. This Chargers uniform looks good, though. I like the powder blue, but I like this yellow, too. It's flashy, man. So, no joke. I think it's a bounce back. They get to come back home here. Indy, on the other hand, I know Indy's also coming off of an escape, which is why I don't really want to play this game. Arizona was one of my plays last week, and Arizona got us a cover there behind Jacoby Brissett, baby, in the bounce-back spot for Arizona and in the injured player spot for Arizona last week. I thought they would step up their game behind Jacoby Brissett. Brissett wasn't just a game manager either. He actually played well in this game. This Colts defense, I don't know, they looked a little bit vulnerable in that game. I know they've been playing well, but, like, who have the Colts beaten? Look at their wins. Miami, Denver is their best win, and they won on a leverage call at the end of the game, which was kind of BS. They beat Tennessee. We know they're horrible. They beat the Raiders. They suck. And they beat Arizona with a backup quarterback. Not good either. And they arguably should have had the win against the Rams, even though they got outgained by the Rams. I'm still pissed about a loss that I had with a play on the on this show here. I gave out the Colts plus 3.5 in that game. They absolutely should have covered that. The way that game ended was bullshit. That would have been their best win of the season. Yeah, they still played competitively, but that was a game where they went out to the Pacific Coast, and that was their worst performance of the season. Now they're going back out to the Pacific Coast again. I don't love it. I would lean to the Chargers. It looks like Ward is out with a concussion for the Colts too. I don't know how much of an effect that's really going to be, but he's one of their cornerbacks. He's one of their better secondary players, so that is obviously a bit of a blow to the Colts as well. It's not going to affect the line that much, but not good, at least for the Colts. It would be worse if they were playing a primetime game. I talk about that, where these more easterly teams, when they have to go out to the West Pacific Coast and they have to play a game that's really, really late by their biological clock. That's like the worst for them, that's going to factor into one of my plays this week, by the way. Not this one. This one's only a 4:05 p.m. Eastern one, so it's not going to be a ridiculously late game, but I still think it's not a good spot for the Colts, really, even though it's, again, kind of a bounce-back spot-ish off of that close call against Arizona, but I just think L.A., the spot sets up better for the Chargers. I'm not even convinced that the Colts are the better team, by the way. And the odds makers are actually telling you the Colts are the better team right now by lining the Chargers only at 2. I mean, I don't know. I mean, do you give the Chargers more than 2 for home field, though? Their home field advantage isn't that strong. But if you think that it's 2, then the books are basically saying the Colts and the Chargers are even. As far as like what their power ratings are, but I kind of disagree with that. I actually think the Chargers are still the slightly better team. The Chargers are more battle tested for sure. As I pointed out, the weak schedule that Indy's had so far. Chargers have faced the Chiefs, beat them. They beat Denver, although both teams beat Denver. I know they faced Raiders, Giants. They suck. Miami sucks. But Washington's also better. So Chargers have faced a more difficult schedule. I'm harping on the game too much, but we're going with the lean with the Chargers in that one. It's not a pick for me, though. Not a play for me. Your team is the Panthers. Ugh, that is brutal. Jackson fart darts. Yeah. I don't know. Is he shooting darts out of his butthole? I mean, I don't know. Cool looking uniform boosts morale. That is correct. And an ugly uniform like the Arizona Cardinals tortilla uniform. What the fuck is that thing? I think that negates, it lowers your morale a bit. I think that when you look stupid in a stupid looking uniform, I actually think it makes you play more stupid, play stupidly. So I think that's actually a real thing. Yeah, the psychology of looking good, feeling good, max out the drip Riz. Yeah, it's a Riz spot, a Rizzed up spot for the Chargers there. No bias, man, because I root for the Colts, because I latched on to Peyton Manning when I hated Belichick and Brady. I went away from the Patriots, and the Patriots were I rooted for all the Boston teams. I still root for all the Boston teams. You guys probably know my story. I rooted for the Patriots in the Parcells, Bledsoe, Curtis Martin era. I loved that team. Loved those guys. Lost the Super Bowl to Brett Favre back in the 90s. I was pissed. Didn't like Brett Favre. And then the Patriots betrayed me, basically, and they got Belichick and Brady, and I was like, this Belichick guy, the way that he screwed over the Jets to come over here, I was like, this guy is a schmuck. He's evil. He sucked with the Browns. Fuck that guy. I still don't think he's a good coach. I think Brady was the reason why he won as many games as he won as coach. Didn't like Brady either. I just think he's a total douchebag, so I just started hating the Patriots. Fuck them. But now I'm, starting to swing back in the other direction, I don't know. I like this Drake May character. I like Mike Vrabel as well. I just hate Josh McDaniels. Get rid of that fucker. Then I'll be fully on board. But I'm somewhat back on the Patriot train slightly. What other games are we going to talk about here? I'm talking about every game. Giants-Broncos is going to be one of my plays. It's going against the market read. I don't even give a fuck. I think it's the strongest play of the week. Washington, I'm still calling them the Redskins, man. Fucking Commanders. Change your fucking name, dude. Football team was a better name. At least football team is hilarious. It's basically like, what's the most inoffensive name that we could think of? Oh, the football team. Commanders, you can call them the commies, because that is what they are. Fucking DC team, and they're called this militaristic bullshit. Go back to the Redskins, man. Redskins-Cowboys used to be a huge rivalry. I mean, this is still a big divisional rivalry. It's just it doesn't have that weight behind it that it did when it was Redskins-Cowboys. When the Redskins were good in the 90s, so I remember that as a kid. Redskins with fucking, what was Art Monk there and whoever the hell else they had there. I forget. But yeah, the Redskins were good back then. All right, but the Cowboys here flip from a 2-point dog to a 1-point favorite in this game, and I agree with this. I would lean to the Cowboys in this game. 57% of tickets, 66% of the cash on the Cowboys. So the money looks like it is coming in on the Cowboys. The opener, the look ahead, was Washington 2.5. And usually I don't want to necessarily fade the look ahead because the look ahead had Washington favored. But I think some of this I think is actual money moving the line because it's actually not that much of a move to go through 0. Like if you're between the threes, like 3 is a key number, but anything from like 2-1 to the other side, 1-2, like the books will move those like pretty quickly. Like those numbers they don't matter as much. Although they matter more now with like 2-point conversions and all that other bullshit going on. So they do matter more than they used to, but they still don't matter as much as the number 3, obviously. And I'm old school, so I still see like 3 is key, 7 is key. Washington, they're on a short week. They played on Monday night, and yes, they did lose on Monday night to the Bears, but it was kind of a big matchup, man. It's Caleb Williams against Jaden Daniels, the top 2 quarterback draft picks from last year battling again. It was revenge spot for Caleb Williams. I gave out the Bears as a lean on my show, of course. We got that one right on Monday night. Big game, though. So even though, Washington was favored, and sometimes you'll say, well, when a team is favored, they'll bounce back from that because they'll use the week to focus. And, they're going to focus on Dallas, but it's a short week. It's another road game. They're actually playing 3 road games in 4 weeks, I think. I don't think they did not have a bye yet, right? No. Their bye doesn't come until week 12, so they're playing a lot of road games, man. This is going to be their 4th road game since September 11th. Oh, God, 9/11. They played on the road on Thursday night, and I got that one right, too. Hey, not one of my plays, though. But, now they're playing a 3rd road game in 4 weeks. Look at this travel they've had to do. They went down to Atlanta, then they had to go to the Pacific Coast to face L.A. They came back to Washington for Monday night. Now in a short week, they got to go to Dallas. And they got Kansas City up next in a primetime game. That's going to be Monday night against Kansas City. Yeah, I think it's a bad spot. They're in kind of a Monday night sandwich here, which is weird to say when they're facing the Dallas Cowboys. You're usually going to focus on the Dallas Cowboys, but the Cowboys have been the lesser of these two teams, over the last year or so, obviously, even though Dallas actually did pull off an upset, I think, at Washington last year. I think Dallas pulled off an upset, and then Washington beat Dallas in Dallas in I think the last week of the season, maybe last year, where I think Washington didn't even need to win the game, and they still did. Something like that. But Dallas, they're coming off an embarrassing loss, man, to Carolina. There's no doubt about it. They were playing their 3rd road game in 4 weeks, by the way, where they had to go to Chicago, came back home, played that barn burner Sunday night game tie against Green Bay. Then they had to go back out to the East Coast, face the Jets. Thought that was a terrible spot, but they still did well in that game. Down to Carolina, played them, and now they're coming back home. So the fact that they're back home, I think, is actually going to be more helpful to them. So their travel is kind of like over, at least for now. So I think their kind of bad travel spot was somewhat last week, I would say, even though they probably did stay on the East Coast, I would imagine, between those 2 games. But I think it sets up better for Dallas. They're going to want to try to reestablish themselves as the better team over Washington in this division. I'm going to lean to Dallas in this game. Not going to be a play for me, but it's I don't think I'm going to change my opinion on that one. So I think some of my stronger opinions this week are Dallas, Chargers, in games that I don't have a play on, at least I should say. Dallas, the Chargers. Really, it's kind of those 2. Like, these other opinions I gave out are not, I would not say they're as strong as those 2. All right. What else we got here? I'm going to take a look at some more of the chat here. What's up, guys? Brady carried the team. Yeah, and he was really good as an old man in Tampa, too. He was surrounded by a pretty good cast, though, both in New England and in Tampa. Because when he first started in New England, they were winning all these close games, man. Of course, the tuck rule, all that bullshit. The Patriots won so many close games on bad calls and on opponent mistakes. It was ridiculous. So at first, it wasn't really Brady. It was kind of like the Patriots defense. They had a really menacing defense coming out of that like Parcells era, because that's kind of what he was all about. Then it kind of became more, Brady taking over. I had some like really good seasons there. And then with Tampa, I think it was more back to like he had a good team with Tampa too, though. He had good receivers there, good defense there with Tampa, good coach. Arians, I think, is actually better than Parcells. Where is Arians now? I don't even know. Is he still around? You're a Redskins guy? Yes, I call them the Redskins. I refuse to go into the... I refuse to dabble in woke. Fuck that shit. The colonizers. That makes them sound way too based. The Blackhawks, they were able to keep their mascot because it's... if you're literally the name of a Native American tribe, you get to keep it, basically. Like the Florida State Seminoles and the Chicago Blackhawks, which... Are they named after the Blackhawk tribe or the Chief Blackhawk? I don't know. I forget. But when it's like a specific name, it's like they have some like agreement with that specific tribe or like their ancestors or whatever, where they're allowed to like keep the name, I think, is what's going on. I'm pretty sure. I think that's why that's the case. It's ridiculous. And the Chiefs and the Braves, by the way, have been able to keep their... they do the tomahawk chop, which I think they did steal from Florida State, though. I think it was originally a Florida State thing, and as a BC guy, I don't want to admit that. And by the way, I have the Florida State game on behind me right now. They were losing to Stanford last I saw, which they're still losing. It's the third quarter. They're down 13-10. It was 13-3. I hope Stanford wins, man, to be honest. Stanford's got Frank Reich. They got Andrew Luck in their front office. Like, let's go, baby. They got my old Colts dudes. Yeah, man, and I can't stand Florida State. I can't stand Castellanos. Just a total dick with the way that he left BC. I would love to see Florida State just start collapsing. Oh, man, it would be awesome. But I already do love the fact that they're collapsing. They're not going to make the playoff or anything this year. They already have 3 conference losses, I'm pretty sure, including our correct bet that we gave out on the show on Virginia. That was an awesome one. That was fun. Fun as fuck. Tomahawk chop. I like a tomahawk chop, as far as the tomahawk steak. That type of chop, the tomahawk cut, baby. That's what I raise it up in the restaurant and go, before I eat it. That's what I like to do. A cigar store Indian. We actually there's one in Boston, dude. Right near it's like across the street from the Boston Common, basically on Boylston Street. It's around the corner from Boylston. I think it's on Charles Street. Is it Charles? I think it's on Charles. Right around the corner from Boylston, there's an old tobacco shop right there, and they have a cigar store Indian on the outside. I don't know how did they get away with it? I don't know. It's awesome, dude. It's all it's like wooden, and it's one of those. It's what you think. We'll talk about Seinfeld now as well, because there's a Seinfeld cigar store Indian one as well. It's like that Indian. Correct bets, yeah. Yeah, well, the Columbus statue got fucking desecrated by the fucking leftist mob assholes in Boston. Did they rename they might have renamed the park too. The Columbus statue was in Christopher Columbus Park, which is in kind of like the Boston Harbor area, the harbor. Kid, it's in that harbor area. I know exactly where it is. There's a good old what the fuck is it called? Joe's American Bar and Grill right there. For not Boston specific food there, I don't think, but Joe's American Bar and Grill. Kind of like that place. They have good bread. They got some decent food there. There's one of those right near Christopher Columbus Park, which is now, I don't know what the fuck that park is called now. They also took down an Abraham Lincoln statue, by the way, in Lincoln Square in Boston, which is actually really close to the cigar store Indian. You can see them both. They're visible from each other. They're like hundreds of feet away from each other, basically. There was an Abe Lincoln statue that I think actually had a slave shining his shoes, and people were like, oh, we can't have that. So they got rid of the Lincoln statue, and there's literally just nothing there now. And I think it's still called Lincoln Square. But the statue is just not there. It was based... I actually don't think they should have removed any of the statues, man. It's all history, although I'll be more inclined to have that statue removed than a Columbus one. But yeah, I don't want to get my channel nuked here, man. We're supposed to be talking about sports. We have one more game here before we get to the night games and then my best bets. Yeah, I'm not a fan of Lincoln either. Obviously, one of the worst, man. He was. He was cracking down on free speech in a massive way against people that spoke out against the war. The war is not what you're told it was. Don't want to get my channel nuked, like I said. All right, Packers, Cardinals. Packers up from 5.5 to 7 here on this line. Look ahead was the 5.5. So based on the number, it does look like maybe you're getting a little bit of value on the Cardinals. But I don't know, man. Yes, the Packers are public. 78% of tickets, only 73% of the cash. My initial instinct on this game was to lean to the Packers because if you look at what happened last week, the Packers, they played Cincinnati, and they played a pretty lackluster game against Cincinnati, against the Joe Flacco Cincinnati in his first game. Green Bay only beat them 27-18. So it was kind of just a game where I think they just kind of went through the motions. And now I was thinking, oh, well, now Green Bay is going to kind of bounce back from that. Green Bay, they don't actually have a third road game in 4 weeks here because they did have a bye, I think, after that Dallas game. So that was kind of a question mark coming into the game against Cincinnati. It was like, well, did they go into the bye on a good note or a bad note? I considered it to be kind of a bad note because they should have beaten Dallas as far as the fact that Green Bay was at least favored in that game, although I liked Dallas to cover that one, which they did. So I thought that would be considered to be kind of a bad note to go into the bye on because they were the favorite against Dallas. They came out and they maybe could have covered the number against Cincinnati, but they didn't. So now I'm thinking, oh, well, maybe off of that kind of weak performance against Cincinnati, maybe Green Bay's in a bounce-back spot. But I'm starting to maybe disagree with that a little bit. That was my first reaction, just knowing what these teams did this week. And then, of course, Arizona, they played pretty well against Indianapolis. They almost beat my Colts on the road as a big underdog. So Arizona coming off a big performance as an underdog and now coming back home, that's a difficult spot when a team plays really well as an underdog like that and they almost pull off the upset and fall short. Sometimes it's going to be a hangover spot and they don't do well in the next game either. But now I'm kind of thinking, I don't know. I mean, Arizona, Green Bay is a pretty good team. Arizona, if they can, they'll still probably get up for the game against Green Bay. Like, they'll be focused. It's more about after that Indy game, is Arizona going to be like fatigued after that? That's the question. But Green Bay, if you start looking at what their schedule looks like, they got a big game up next, man. I believe this is a Sunday night game next week, and look who they're playing. Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers in Pittsburgh. So it's going to be Green Bay versus Aaron Rodgers for the first time, I'm pretty sure, because Aaron Rodgers, of course, went to the Jets, and he was hurt the first season, and then he played for the Jets last year. And I believe, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the Jets did not play the Packers last year. So I'm pretty sure this is the first time that Rodgers faces the Packers. That's going to be a big game, man. Green Bay against Aaron Rodgers. So it is potentially a look ahead. And now the other issues that we got going on here, Josh Jacobs is questionable, illness and a calf injury. So that's something to consider with Green Bay. Although I think if he doesn't go, I don't really worry about that much because NFL running backs are really like kind of plug and play. I know Jacobs is a high tier running back. Like he's very good, but I think it's not going to be a huge downgrade to whoever the replacement is for him because rushing attacks, they just kind of, they have a lot of continuity. Let's put it that way. But the bigger deal for this is this. The Packers had a 5-hour plane delay trying to get out to Arizona here. That is not good. That could definitely affect the team, man, because you want to stay on your schedule. You want to get out. You want to get out to where you're going. You know, at the time that you expect to be there. You get there. You got to start practicing, whatever. So that's going to affect, I think, their preparation here a little bit. That's not great. So there is a little bit of an issue there with the Packers as far as that plane delay. So all these things to keep in mind. I'm going to kind of go against my first instinct on this one. I'll slightly lean to taking the points with the Cardinals, but obviously I don't feel strongly about it. So, yeah. Sunday night, I'm going to have a play on Falcons versus 49ers. We can talk about Monday night, even though I will talk about Monday night on Monday morning as well, but I'm not going to have a play on the Monday night game. Southern pride. The South shall rise again. Crazy game. Green Bay against Pittsburgh, you mean? Yeah. The tickets for that game in the nosebleeds are like at least $300, and like the worst seats in the house are like $300 for that game. It's insane. Green Bay shouldn't have let him go. I don't agree with that. Jordan Love is good. I'm an Aaron Rodgers fan. I mean, I think it made sense. I mean, the way that it was going, it was just like Rodgers was in the same situation that Favre was in when Rodgers came in. So Rodgers knew what it was like from that new quarterback's perspective. Like if you watch the Aaron Rodgers Netflix documentary, he talks about it. It makes sense. I mean, I like Rodgers. That documentary made me like him a bit more too. He's an interesting dude, but I think he didn't want to do what Favre did to him really, and kind of just delay like that start. So it was kind of a mutual thing, man. I mean, the team was going to move on from him anyway, though, I think. But yeah, Taylor Swift, no, she's going to be at the Chiefs game probably or whatever. On Monday night, I hate these Monday night doubleheaders, dude. This one's actually a doubleheader with one game at 7 p.m. Eastern and one game at 10 p.m. Eastern. I don't like this at all. It makes Monday night way less special. They got to stop fucking doing this. This is the first year that they've done this every fucking week, where the last like several years since they started doing this, it was like, okay, they have like week one, whatever. They have a couple of Monday night games, and then it goes back to one Monday night game. Now it's like every goddamn week, and all the weeks up until this week, it's been 2 games being played basically at the same time. What the fuck is that, dude? When you play on Monday night, it's supposed to be something special, right? Like you're supposed to be it's the premier matchup that week, basically, right? Like you get that primetime slot. That's your thing. Now there are 2. It makes it less special. I think it's bullshit. I don't know if it means the teams are going to be like less, consider the game to be less important because of this now. I mean, I don't know. How do you handicap that? Like, because usually when there's one Monday night game, you usually go into it saying both of the teams are going to get up for this because it's a big primetime game. Do you still say that? I mean, I guess yes, but I don't know. The first game is Tampa Bay at Detroit. Detroit's gone up from a 4.5-point favorite to a 6-point favorite. I really thought Tampa Bay would be a public side here. Like when you see these games where it's 2 teams that are considered to both be good teams, everybody likes both their offenses. Usually, I think if the public sees a line that's a little bit too big, they usually start leaning towards the underdog. It looks like they're not in this case. 70% of tickets, only 58% of the cash on the Lions. So the public looks like they're coming in on the Lions. Seems a little bit odd to me, man. I would have thought that the public would be on the 5-1 Tampa Bay team here. Tampa Bay had another good win last time against us. Well, they had a good win against San Francisco, I should say. San Francisco still, I mean, they've been a very competitive team this year, despite all the injuries that they have. Tons of injuries there. San Francisco had some chances to maybe win that game, too, and they wound up fading at the end. The final score was actually a little bit misleading, I think, which tends to happen with Tampa Bay, by the way. Tampa Bay, they've won multiple games that I think they should have lost. So you can kind of tell which way I'm kind of leaning in this game. San Francisco actually outgained Tampa Bay in this game, but they were -2 in turnovers. It's kind of the reason why they lost the game. I think San Francisco at least should have covered this game, and they did not. So Tampa kind of got away with that win a little bit there, and it was closer towards the end of the game too. It was Tampa. Let me see. What was I want to see the breakdown here. It was an 8-point game very late in the game, and then Tampa kicked a field goal in the final 2 minutes to make it an 11-point game instead of 8. And it was a 1-point game. It was a 1-point game late in the third quarter as well, or somewhat late in the third quarter as well. But Tampa Bay finally had a game where they weren't losing in the final minutes of the game, which has been my knock on Tampa Bay here, man, is that I think Tampa Bay's record is a little bit misleading because Tampa Bay, they got outgained in the first game of the season by Atlanta. They were losing in the final minute of that game, and they won, pulled it out of their ass. They were losing in the final minute again against Houston and won. They were losing in the final minute after blowing a big lead against the Jets in a game that we had I believe, on my show, we had the Jets in that one, and the Jets did cover the spread, so we got a win on that one. But the Jets made a big comeback and actually took the lead in that game in the final minute, and Tampa Bay still won. They became the first team ever to be losing in the first 3 weeks in the final minute and win all 3 of those games. Then Tampa made a huge comeback against Philadelphia. They were getting blown out in that game against Philadelphia. Then they had that barn burner against Seattle. Seattle had kind of a banged-up secondary. And Tampa was losing in the final 2-08 or something of that game too. So the first 4 wins that Tampa Bay had, they were losing every single one of those games in the final 2 minutes, basically. So those games were basically coin flips, and they went 4-0 in those games. They could have easily gone 2-2. in those games quite easily. So I think the record is a little bit misleading. I think the game last week was a little bit misleading too. Yeah, they're going to step it up for Detroit. I mean, obviously, it's the Detroit Lions. It's a big game. I think, did Detroit knock Tampa out of the playoffs the most recent time they had a big game? I forget. I don't even remember, man. It seems like they always have like big games here. I know Tampa actually beat Detroit in Detroit last year in week 2. That's right. I forgot about that. That was the revenge game because Detroit had eliminated Tampa Bay from the playoffs the year before that. Yeah, that's what happened. And then Tampa Bay went in and they got revenge in week 2 against Detroit last year. So I think it's now revenge for Detroit again because Tampa Bay beat them in this place last year. So Detroit's going to be focused. And I think Detroit's going to be additionally focused because they lost that Sunday night game to the Chiefs, and they lost ugly. I know it was a big game, but when you don't look good in prime time like Detroit did not, I think you do bounce back after that. And yeah, I know it's a bit of it's a shorter week, I guess, for Detroit just because they happen to play a Sunday night game where Tampa played during the day on Sunday, but still, I don't think that really matters that much. It's a primetime game. It's back at home. I actually like the Lions in this game. I would go against what the cash percentage is saying right now. The money I think is actually kind of come in on the Lions here, man. I don't think this is a false move on the Lions, to be honest. The move up from 4.5 to 6 here. If you want the Lions, you got to get it at below 7 though, at the very least. Would have been a lot better at 4.5 though. Although the 5s are dead numbers though, so if you can get 6, I think that's still all right if you want to lay the points with the Lions here. That is probably the way that I would lean. Again, I think the Buccaneers, they're a little bit overrated right now, which the lines makers are telling you that. I almost said Lions makers. The lines makers, or the odds makers, are telling you that because they're lining the Lions as a pretty significant home favorite here, more than just what their home field is. So the odds makers are telling you the Lions are the better team. So that's something to consider as well. And I think the spot I think actually sets up a little bit better for the Lions. So I think it was a legit move going up from 4.5 to 7. When the line comes up 4.5, I don't think you see the bettors come in and try to pound that all the way up to 7 just because their actual move is going to be to try to take Tampa plus 7. I don't think you usually see that. I think you usually see that if it's really close or closer to that key number. Like if it opens 6, then I could see maybe a false move trying to get it to 7. But with 4.5 being the opener, I don't think so. I think it was a legit move, so I actually like the Lions in that game. Don't know if I'm going to change my opinion on that one. Better than overseas games? Yeah, that's true. The overseas games are just chaos, very hard to predict. And then we do have Texans-Seahawks in the late game. Oh, by the way, Buccaneers-Lions, very high total here for an NFL game, down from 53.5 to 52.5. You got two good offenses here. Buccaneers have a lot of injuries on their offense, so I don't know if Bucky Irving is coming back at running back. I don't know what's going on with him. It looks like Mike Evans is actually coming back in this game for the Buccaneers. I don't know how close he's going to be to 100% or anything, but it seems like he is coming back in this game. Godwin is hurt again, so a very banged-up Buccaneers wide receiver core. They might get Evans back at least, but they also lost what the hell's their rookie? The name of their rookie there. They have he's hurt too, I'm pretty sure. The guy that Gronk can't pronounce his name. Egaboo, I think is what Gronk called him. I can't remember his name now. But yeah, he's hurt too for the Buccaneers. So I've pronounced his name correctly on the show before. I just forget what the fuck his name even is. Whatever. But yeah, I believe he's hurt as well. So Tampa does have some injuries there. I do think the Lions are actually the better of the two teams, like I said. But as far as the total, 90% of the tickets and only 64% of the cash on the over. The money's actually coming in towards the under in this game. Like maybe thinking it's going to be more of like a playoff atmosphere, but I don't think I would want to do it, to be honest. The public does always play overs in these games like this, these primetime games. So usually you don't get value playing it over because the odds makers know the public's going to come in on the over, so they have to skew the line towards the over. But in this game, I mean, you do have two offenses that can definitely do things. So I don't know, man. I don't think I wouldn't necessarily disagree with an under, but I wouldn't want to be holding an under ticket in that game. And then Houston and Seattle, much lower total in this one, down from 42 to 41. 58% of tickets on the over, 86% of the cash on the under. Money coming in on the under here. This one I could see being pretty low scoring. I don't know if the Seahawks defense is healthier, because I know they've had some injuries on their defense over the last couple of weeks. We know that Houston's defense is good, and their pass defense is good, which can maybe potentially counter this Seahawks offensive attack, because the Seahawks have mostly had to throw the ball because I believe Charbonnet has been hurt at running back. He might be back now. But the Seahawks, I think their offense has really been more of a passing attack, and I still don't know if I totally trust Sam Darnold, man. I know he's been good. He looked bad early in his career with the Jets, with Carolina, but, is he actually good? I still don't know. He had a pretty good season last year with the Vikings. I thought it was more that the system was good. Maybe the Seahawks system is good too. I don't know. He's playing well. Seahawks are up from 2.5 to 3 here. 66% of tickets, 76% of the cash on the Seahawks. So the money is coming in on the Seahawks here. Don't know if I totally agree with that either. Seahawks obviously going to be the public side. I mean, they've been rolling right now. They've won 4 of their last 5 games. But I don't know if their wins are necessarily totally impressive. They beat Pittsburgh in a game on the road where Pittsburgh, I think, had a decent amount of turnovers there. Beat New Orleans. Not that impressive to beat New Orleans. They beat Arizona on the road. We know Arizona's not that good. And they beat Jacksonville last week in a bad spot. So still don't necessarily think the Seahawks are as good as their record would indicate. They are coming back home here off a decent win over Jacksonville. But again, they caught Jacksonville in a very bad spot. Seahawks do have Washington up next, so maybe potentially a look ahead. They do have a bye, actually, and then Washington. But I don't know, man. I think Houston might be a little bit under the radar right now, just because Houston is still a pretty good defensive team, and I think their defense might be able to hold Seattle in check. Houston is coming out of a bye, so they did have last week off, so they have an extra week to get out to the Pacific Coast and prepare for this, but they are going out to the Pacific Coast, so again, it's a more easterly team. Houston's a central time zone team, having to go to the Pacific Coast, and sometimes that can fuck with your biological clock. They have to play a 10 p.m. Eastern game, so that thing's going to end 1 a.m. Eastern or somewhere around there, which is going to be still midnight Houston time, so that is fairly difficult, so I don't really want to play Houston here. And the fact they went into the bye on a good note. They won their first 2 games. They beat Tennessee. Whatever. And that was my survivor pick that week. I have to pick a survivor team this week, too. I don't know who it's going to be. And then Houston beat Baltimore. It was Baltimore without Lamar Jackson, but it is still the Ravens, and Houston absolutely annihilated them in Baltimore, and that's how they went into the bye. So I consider that to be going into the bye on a good note. And when a team goes into a bye on a good note, they can't really work on fixing things because you don't have anything to fix. So I do worry about that aspect of it, that I don't think the bye came at a good time for Houston. So I think that's a little bit of an issue, although it might help them with maybe the time zone shift if they can get out there. I don't know if they went out there earlier this week or not. If they were smart, they should have done that. I don't know if they did, though. I'm going to lean slightly to Houston in this game, though, just because they still do have that extra rest at the very least, and I think they're the anti-public side here, getting points here. They are the better of the 2 defenses, in my opinion, getting points. And they're an ugly offense, so the public is not going to want them at all. So I would lean to taking the points with Houston there against what I think might be a little bit of an overrated Seattle team at this point. That Seattle is also having to travel back from the East Coast at the very least, though, because they just went to Jacksonville, and they don't have a week off to make that travel back. So they're shifting across time zones as well here at the very least. So slightly into Houston in that one. All right. That was the breakdown. I forgot to do the graphic, as I always do. I always forget. Whoops. Let's go to the best bets here, man. It's time. Let's do it. It's going to still be ugly. Maybe not as ugly as you want, but first one up, we're going to go with the New Orleans Saints plus 4.5. I know we lost on the Saints last week, but they still played pretty competitively in that game. They definitely had chances to cover that spread, maybe even chances to win that game against the Patriots. Saints have been playing competitively all season, man. The only game where they got blown out was at Seattle, and even that game was misleading. If you look at the stats in that game, the Saints statistically actually matched Seattle pretty well in that game. So the Saints, even though they're not a good team, they've been just playing with a lot of effort, man, which you like. That's what you like when you have an underdog here, man. Just a team that's going to come in and give you effort every single week, and that's what they've been doing. Besides the Seattle loss, look at their losses. They lost by 7-5 won against the Giants, and they lost by 6 against New England. So their other losses are all by 1 score. And that's what we want here. We want them to come within 1 score. I know it's a little bit less than that. It's 4.5, but yeah, I think it's a good spot. I mean, they're coming off another loss, going out on the road. I think it's a fine spot for them to continue giving you effort. Like, I don't think it's necessarily a bad spot or anything like that for the Saints. I just think it's a spot that is kind of whatever. By the way, I forgot to mention the look ahead. The look ahead on the Lions was 4.5, which is where it opened. It's gotten drilled up to 6, I think, with actual money. And the Seahawks opened at 2.5, and now they're sitting at 3.5. So I think the line maybe moved a little bit too much on the Seahawks is kind of what my read is on that. And the 49ers, by the way, I haven't talked about the 49ers yet, so hang on. I'll hold off on that one. Hold on. I'm jumping the gun on that. Bears in this game against the Saints were a 6-point favorite on the look ahead. If you look at what they are now, they're actually down to 4 now, so you might have to take 4 instead of 4.5. I don't think the 6 was out there for a long period of time. I think it was mostly 5, 5.5, and those numbers are dead numbers, so the books will just move it to the 4 pretty easily. If you can get 4.5, obviously that's better than 4, but I would take either one. I think it's fine here. The total's not that high at 45.5, so you're not really looking at a game that's like potentially going to be like so high scoring that it's like, oh, you don't want to like take the underdog necessarily because the offense is going to just score so much here. I don't think that's really going to be the case here. And I think it's a bad spot for the Bears. 59% of tickets, only 55% of the cash on the Bears. So the public is on the Bears now after the Bears have won 3 games in a row. But I want to fade the Bears here, man. The Bears, look at what they've done throughout those games. They beat Dallas, huge win, but Dallas was in a bad spot in that game, in my opinion, which I leaned to the Bears in that one. Dallas had beaten the Giants, although that was a Russell Wilson Giants team, but still it was a big divisional game that I think was just a barn burner. It either went into overtime or it went right to the wire. And Dallas had that big Micah Parsons Bowl up next against Green Bay, so it was a bad spot for Dallas having to go to Chicago there. And then Chicago won a game at Vegas the following week, which I don't think they had any business winning this game, man. The Bears got completely outplayed by the Raiders in this one. 357 to 271 was the yardage edge for the Raiders in the game, and the Raiders were -3 in turnovers with 4 turnovers in the game. That's why they lost, and it still took a late score from the Bears and a blocked field goal at the end of the game by the Bears to actually win that game. So the Bears should have lost that game. Then they had their bye, and then they came out of the bye, and what did we just see? They beat Jaden Daniels on Monday night, man. That was a huge win for the Bears. Like I said, that was Caleb Williams against Jaden Daniels, the big matchup between the 2 top quarterbacks from the draft last year. And it was revenge for Caleb Williams because he lost the game last year on a Hail Mary at the very end of the game by Jaden Daniels and Washington in that game, which I liked because I gave out Washington as a play on the show in that one last year. And it was because Chicago had a defender who was taunting the Washington fans and didn't cover his man and left him wide open. Absolutely ridiculous. But the Bears got their revenge for that. They atoned for their sins. That was a huge win for them on Monday night. Now they're coming off of that, and they have a short week, and they play the New Orleans Saints. I mean, come on, man. I don't think it's a good spot at all for the Bears. And they do have the Baltimore Ravens up next. And I know it's the Ravens, and the Ravens have all these injuries, but it might be Lamar Jackson back in that game, man. We don't really know. Could possibly be Jackson back. Remains to be seen, but that's still a big game, man, I think, against the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens are still, I think, kind of this looming giant there. Like, I think they're still, if Lamar Jackson comes back, I think the Ravens are still a very formidable team. So, yeah, I think this is a flat spot for the Bears for sure. Letdown spot for sure. Short week coming off the Monday night game, the later of the 2 Monday night games as well. We'll be on the New Orleans side in that one. That is the first play. Next up, we're going to be on the one where I said I'm going against the market read. Denver Broncos -7. We're going to do it, even though the market is disagreeing with it. I think because the Broncos are coming back from London, it's down from 8 to 7.5 here. The Broncos were 8 on the look ahead. So the fact that it's been like around 7 all week, you know, I mean, I think you're getting a little bit of value on the Broncos. I still saw 7s out there, man, but you have to pay like around -114, -115 for it. I would still do that instead of laying the 7.5, and I think you could do that right now. If you can find 7 at -110, of course, do that instead. And I would wait actually right now if you don't see that, because I think at worst, you'll be able to get a 7 with like maybe a little bit of extra juice on it if you want the Broncos here. But I think the Broncos are the best play of the week, man. Again, wait around if you don't see the 7 right now. Wait around. I would lay probably even up to maybe even minus 120. Maybe minus 115 is where I would cap it on the minus 7. And then if it gets to be more expensive than that for the minus 7, maybe even lay the 7.5. I know it's a key number, but I think this is a horrible spot for the Giants. I know it's a really low total, and I don't love laying points with a low total at 40.5 here, but the money's coming in a little bit on the over. So I don't know, but I think the Giants are really going to struggle to score in this game. 66% of tickets, only 53% of the cash on Denver, so the money is coming in against me, against Denver. I know Denver's returning home from London, and I know that's a trip that they're not used to making, but I just don't care that much. Like I said with Cleveland last week, and I know Cleveland did not get there for us, but I'm going to talk about it again with both Denver and the Jets here. Teams usually have a bye when they come back from London. They usually get that following week off, but teams are allowed to request that the NFL give them a bye at a different point in the season. They could say, hey, NFL, we actually want to just come back and play again, and we'll take the bye somewhere else because we think it's better for us if we do that. And when teams do that, they actually tend to play well in that week. You would think the opposite, but it's not the case for whatever reason. I think it's because they explicitly requested to play, and I think that's still what happened with these teams. They asked to play that week. That means they're going to show up for that game. And I think Denver is going to show up not only for that reason, but because they looked like ass in London, man. They barely beat this 0-6 New York Jets team, and we got a win on that. It was a cover for the Jets. I thought it was a bad spot for Denver, man, because Denver was not used to going to London. They had just beaten the Philadelphia Eagles, the returning Super Bowl champs. Huge win for Denver to beat Philly on the road there. It was their legitimizing win of the season, so I thought it was a major letdown spot for Denver there against the Jets. They didn't cover. They won. They won really ugly, and I think that's a team you want to look to play on, and I'm kind of surprised the public is actually on Denver. I don't buy that the public is actually even on Denver here, because why would you want to lay 7 with a team that looked so bad last week in that win against the Jets up against this upstart Giants team that scored like 30-something points in their last game with Jackson Dart and Scatterboo there? No public bettor is actually going to be laying Denver 7 here, I would not think. So for that, I mean, I just don't think these percentages are even accurate, to be honest. I think the spot's really, I think it's slightly advantageous to Denver despite the return home spot, but I think it's really bad for the Giants, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. So I'm going to suck it up and do it. Denver, by the way, in the Bo Nix era, Denver has been really good as a favorite too. I believe they're 11-1 as a favorite, and their only loss was this one at Indy, where they only lost it because of that leverage call. And last year, I believe they covered every single game as a favorite. Or maybe they didn't cover one game. Maybe they were favored. This year, I know it's been different. They didn't cover against Tennessee, but they only missed by 1. They were technically a favorite against Indy and didn't cover, but I would kind of write that off because they were just a 1-point favorite or something on the road there, so I don't count that. They beat Cincinnati and covered in that one as a favorite. And then, yes, I know they didn't cover as a favorite in London against the Jets, but it was in London in a bad spot. I don't care about that. Denver, in the Knicks era, has actually been good at beating up on lesser teams as a favorite, which we did see them do that last time out in a spot like this against Cincinnati at home. I know that was against Jake Browning, that Cincinnati team really bad, but Denver has been good in that role, so I think we're going to get a better Denver performance here. They're 2-0 at home here so far as well. They've won by at least 8 in both of their home games so far. And for the Giants, I know I like Jackson Dart. I know I'm on record saying I think he's very much legit. I think he's the next star quarterback, in my opinion. I know the Giants are 2-1 with him, but I think you got to dial it back a little bit on Dart, man. He's been kind of a game manager since he's been in there. He's not putting up huge totals. I know Scatterboom has looked really good as well, kind of just a crazy runner where he just runs, he just gets really physical and just doesn't care about his body. Fine, cool. But everybody saw that, and now I think everybody just kind of thinks that the Giants are kind of legitimized now, because what did they just do last Thursday? They beat Philadelphia in primetime on Thursday night, and they beat them 34-17. Not only a divisional rival, but the returning Super Bowl champs who really have owned the Giants over the last few years. That was a monster win for the Giants. So I think it's a major letdown spot. And I know they have extra rest here coming up the Thursday game, but I think the extra rest is not helpful when you're basking in that win like that. I think you spend the time reading your press clippings, or, well, that's the old school way. There's probably no physical newspapers anymore, unfortunately, because I liked them. But you're, reading what the media is saying, listening to what the media is saying about you. You're basking in that win. Now you got to go to Mile High to Denver. And Jackson Dart didn't do that well in his first road game against New Orleans. They didn't win the game. They started out good, but they blew the game. They lost the game. They made mistakes. I had New Orleans as a play on my show in that game, by the way, because I thought it was a bit of a letdown spot for the Giants, but also the Giants had a quick turnaround to Philadelphia coming up after that. So I've been able to gauge the Giants correctly in all of the Dart games so far. Let's continue doing it, man. I gave out a play on the first two. I was correct with my lean on the third one. Let's give out a play again on the Dart game, and let's get it right, man. How about that? They got to go to Mile High now. But not only that, but who do the Giants have to play next? Oh, yeah. They have to play the Philadelphia Eagles again next. I don't know if I've seen a spot like this in a long time, man, where you have a game sandwiched in between the same divisional opponent. It doesn't happen very often. And that's what the Giants are up against. It is a Philadelphia cheesesteak sandwich that they're in, man. I'm going to fucking eat this cheesesteak. This is a massive cheesesteak. I'm going to gobble it up. And this isn't one of those shitty cheesesteaks with the cheese whiz that you get from Pat's or Geno's. Hopefully I'm not offending any Philly people there, but I mean, they must know what's up. Those are not the best cheesesteaks, all right? If you go to one of those places, yeah, fine, get the cheese whiz, because that's how they make it at those places. But the better cheesesteak joints, they make it with the fucking the Cooper Sharp cheddar or whatever it is, man. That's really what you want on the I think those like seeded rolls are way fucking better too. I forget the names. There are a few places that are way better. I think John's Roast Beef is one of the best. And then what the fuck is that other one that's considered to be the best? I think it's actually like an Italian place, but they have like an elite cheesesteak there. That's what this cheesesteak is, except for the fact that Denver is returning home from London, which is a little bit of an issue. But whatever. We're still going to go with it here with Denver. I think it's a horrible spot for the Giants. And also, Denver is getting Greenlaw back in this game, by the way. Dre Greenlaw, their big linebacker pickup from the 49ers, just seems to never be healthy. I don't think he's played yet this season, and he's coming back, so that's going to stack Denver's already good defense. Denver has a really good defense, and this will be the most difficult defense that Jackson Dart has had to face so far, man. Face the Chargers, they're an all-right defense. The Saints, they're not good. I mean, they're better than you think they are defensively, but they're not that good. And then Philly, they're not what they were last year, man. Again, they lost a lot of their good defensive players from last year. They're not a great defense this year. This Denver defense is one of the top defenses in the NFL, and this young Giants offense is going to have to go into high elevation and try to beat that defense. That's not easy. And Denver probably has a coaching edge with Sean Payton, too, which I think will help out, too. The only caveat I will point out is that Dart is from Utah originally. So Dart is used to playing in high elevation because that's where he played in high school and whatever. So Dart did play in the state of Utah, and that's where he's originally from and where he grew up, which does mean that he'll probably actually have some hometown fans making the trip out to Denver from Utah for this game. So, yeah, that will be a little bit of a factor. A quarterback, when they first get into the NFL and they get that kind of hometown game, basically. I think that is what this is kind of for Dart here. The quarterback does want to show something and play well, so that is a factor in this game as well. But I just think the spot is just way too bad for the Giants here. So Denver is a play for me. I know it sounded like there were a lot of caveats there, but I put out all the information, man, just so you know. Like I said, I don't think the board is very strong this week, unfortunately. And then my final play is in the Sunday night game. We're going to go with the San Francisco 49ers, -1.5. I like this one too, or I should say I like fading the Atlanta Falcons in this spot. And I've been good with the Falcons games too, man. I had it right when I faded the Falcons against Carolina. Well, we can bring up the schedule, I guess. With the Falcons, I wasn't right with them in week one. It wasn't a play for me, but they should have won against Tampa Bay. My lean was correct in their game against Minnesota. I gave out a play on Carolina against the Falcons because I thought it was a bad spot with the Falcons coming off that huge Sunday night win over Minnesota in the Penix versus McCarthy rematch of the college championship game, even though McCarthy did get hurt in the game, but that was a bad spot for Atlanta. And then they had Jaden Daniels coming up next. They got blanked by Carolina in a game where they actually played better than the score looked. So I jumped right back in and I gave out Atlanta as a play in the following week against Washington. We got that one right. So my 2 plays were correct. And then I leaned to Atlanta last week against Buffalo, and we got that one correct as well. So my leads have been correct the last 4 weeks against Atlanta, and 2 of them have been plays for me where we went 2-0. So we're going to go back to an Atlanta game. We're going to give out a play on the 49ers here. I think this is a bad spot for Atlanta, man. They're coming off but I think it's kind of a legitimizing win for them this season, a huge primetime win. I think that was Penix's first his first primetime win was the Sunday night one against Minnesota, my mistake. But this was his first home primetime win against Buffalo. Huge game, huge win against Josh Allen. Penix gets that win. I mean, that's crazy, man. And now they have to come off that and on kind of a short week because that was a Monday night game, actually, not a Sunday night game. That was a Monday night game. So they're on a short week off of that huge win, letdown spot. They have to go to the Pacific Coast, which Penix is not used to doing that, man, even though I know he played at Washington. So, yeah, he used to play on the Pacific Coast. But since he's been in the NFL, I don't even know if he's played a road game on the Pacific Coast yet. And Penix has not been good on the road. His only road win so far in his career, I believe, is that one against Minnesota. Although I know he did play well on the road at Washington last year in a game because I gave out Atlanta in that game and lost because they failed to even cover as an underdog in overtime. I don't want to remember that game, but Penix is still not as good on the road, man. He's still young. He's still learning. He's got to go to a real hostile environment here in San Francisco and play a night game at San Francisco here, man, on a short week. And I talk about it. I'm going to say it again. Night primetime games for an East Coast team going to the Pacific Coast. The game's going to end like close to midnight maybe. Their biological clock time, that's not good. It's hard for them to adjust to that. You get fatigued at the end of the day. So I think it's bad for their biological clock. For San Francisco, I think the spot sets up better for them, man. They're traveling back to the Pacific Coast from the East as well, I know. But they took a loss in a game that they played a little bit better in. Then the score looks, like I said, against Tampa Bay. Coming back home, it's a big primetime game for them at home. I think it's kind of a get-right spot for San Francisco, so I like how it sets up for San Francisco. They haven't played at home since back against Jacksonville, back before they had that Thursday night game against the Rams, and I think they got caught in kind of a divisional sandwich, man, because San Francisco had won a divisional game against Arizona before we realized that Arizona sucks again, and then they had that game against Jacksonville that didn't really seem to matter as much to San Francisco because they had to turn around on Thursday and play the Rams after that, which was a much bigger game. So I think they got caught against Jacksonville, but that was their last home game. So I think the fact that that was what they did last at home, that's going to motivate them a little bit more too, coming back home, want to redeem themselves a little bit from that bad performance. 49ers are getting Kittle back as well, so he's been out since I think the very beginning of the season, so he's an elite tight end, and that's going to, of course, help the 49ers offense. The 49ers have had some offensive injuries, man, and they're still playing well despite the injuries. They're 4-2, even though they've been injured on both sides of the ball. I mean, they lost Bosa on defense. They've been without Kittle. They've been without half of their wide receivers, with Jennings being hurt and Pearsall being hurt. Didn't get shot again, but he's been hurt, which is at least that's preferable, obviously. I don't know what the situation is with Jennings and Pearsall, by the way, if they're coming back or not. But San Francisco's still been kind of like they've been winning games even without all that, and their rushing attack hasn't even been good. Even though I think McCaffrey is healthy, for some reason their rushing attack just hasn't been that good. Don't know why, but their passing attack, despite all the injuries, and of course I forgot to mention the injury to Brock Purdy, who I don't think Purdy is actually that good though, man. I think he's kind of a mediocre quarterback. They've actually been good with their passing attack, even without Brock Purdy, with Mac Jones in there. Mac Jones has actually been better than Brock Purdy. And yes, we do have to look and see, is Mac Jones going to be their quarterback here in this game again? Where's the injury report here? Let me see. Oh boy, it looks like he's not listed. Oh shit, he's not listed on the injury report? Hang on. No, he's out. All right, good. That's good because I think Mac Jones has been playing better than Brock Purdy. And if Purdy was coming back, it would be the reverse injured player spot for San Francisco. When you get your starting quarterback back, the team can kind of take a step back a little bit. You have to get used to him being back in there. You know what I mean? So, the chemistry could be a bit of an issue. So I like this better that they're going to have continuity with Mac Jones still in there. So that's good. We're going to have Mac Jones still out there. It looks like Pearsall is out, but Jennings is back. So that's good, at least for their receiving core as well. And, of course, Ayuk, who's probably their best wide receiver, he's been out, and he's still out. So that's another injury they've been dealing with. San Francisco's still been going through it and doing it, man. I like the fact that Mac Jones is still out there, man. I never thought I would say that, but Jones, I think he can get the job done here, man. Even though the Falcons' pass defense has actually been okay, but I still think Jones can get it done here. As far as the look ahead on this, we had 49ers at -4.5 on the look ahead, but that might have been with Brock Purdy. Like maybe they thought Brock Purdy was going to play. But still, with the fact that this line is down to -1.5 here, it's down from 3.5 to 2 now, I guess, on the 49ers. I think you are getting some extra value on the 49ers, though, for whatever reason. That maybe I think it was just because of the Brock Purdy, the fact that they thought he was coming back and he's not coming back. But is he that much of a drop-off? Like, should he be like a 3-point drop-off to Mac Jones? I actually don't think so. 49ers have been pretty good with Mac Jones, so we're going to go with it. 49ers, 56% of tickets are on the Falcons. Everybody saw the Falcons pull off that upset on Monday night. Now they're going from an anti-public favorite. I talk about this too. The Falcons were an anti-public favorite last week. The Falcons are an anti-public underdog, They were an anti-public underdog last week, and they're going to a situation where now they're a public team, although they're a public underdog here. It would be crazier if they're a public favorite, which they're not, but still, when the public shifts sides like that one week to the other, you want to fade that sentiment more often than not. 56% of tickets on the Falcons, 55% of the cash on the Niners. Yeah, we'll go with the Niners here in this one, man. I think it's a bad spot for Atlanta. That's what we're going to do, and that is going to do it for those plays here, man. The 3 plays this week, one more time, are the New Orleans Saints at +4.5. The Denver Broncos at -7, which hopefully you can get the 7. Again, like it's been 7 most of the week. I should have mentioned that during the week on one of my shows, just to say, hey, get on this, and then I'll do the analysis on Saturday night. Whatever. And San Francisco -1.5. I mean, you're basically just asking them to win the game. Or if you find a money line price that's good, you could do that too. I think we're good on those. Denver, like I said, find the best price that you can on that. I don't know if you can still find a 7. Right before I did the show, I found a -7 at -114 out there at one of the books, though. So I'm still counting it at -7 because I saw the -7 with, I think -114 and -115 and a couple of different books that are out there. So that's what we're tracking it at right now. That's going to do it, man. Keep up the streak. What streak? I had another winning day today, so at least there was that. I mean, I've had, I think, only 2 or 3 losing days over the last, 3 weeks, so at least there's that. But football has kind of been mediocre the last couple of weeks after we were really hot a few weeks ago for a couple of weeks. But, yeah, I'm trying to win here, man. I'm trying to give out winners, obviously. Who shot Pearsall? I think you know the answer to that. It was prior to last season. Take a guess. It was on the streets of San Francisco. That's going to do it. I'll learn to tell on Twitter and learn to tell on Instagram. You can check me out at those places. Like, subscribe to the channel here. All of it helps out, man. Interacting here helps out. I'm on the audio platforms, Spotify and Apple. You can check me out there. If you listen on there, that helps me out. Reviews definitely help me out as well. Let's pump these numbers up, baby, as I keep saying. And Covered in Uke is my Uke channel on YouTube with the Uke covers going up there. I got to get those up to date, as I keep saying. I feel like I always say that, but it's true. I'm a busy man. Got to keep those up. And I'm not making any money either. So, I'm doing something wrong in life right now. So I got to start just betting professionally, man. I think that's the answer at this point, right? I don't know. Covered in Uke, and then patreon.com/learntotode. You can throw me some support there, and you get some bonus stuff. You get a Spotify Uke feed and prioritize requests that nobody has taken advantage of yet. Stanford's up 7 with 3 minutes left. Oh boy, I don't know who has the ball right. Florida State has the ball right now, though. They might be able to tie it and send it into overtime. I don't know, but I'll root for Stanford just because I don't like FSU. That's gonna do it. Thank you, sir. Charles, thank you. Impure, thank you. Was it just you two? No, Nate, of course, was in the chat too. Nate, thanks, guys. It was just you three guys tonight. A lot of chatter though. I appreciate it, man. If I missed anybody, I apologize. Peace out, guys. I'll be back in the morning. We'll talk about the ALCS game that I think is probably being played tomorrow, and there's probably some small hockey board tomorrow, so we'll talk about it. Peace for now, man.